Hello and welcome to this new lesson in which we are going to talk about void keyword. We already mentioned void and we talked about it in more than one lesson, but in this lesson we'll talk about it in more details. The void keyword is used to any function to give the meaning of nothing. For example, a function that takes void and returns void is in front of you. As you can see, this is the return data type as we mentioned in the previous lesson, and it's void. Now, it also takes void between the two parentheses. The only goal from this function is to print Mike. Now, this can be changed with anything, but this function will never return any variable or any value, and it will not take any input values. So for example, if we need to define a function that takes no arguments, we would write between the two parentheses the void keyword, just like in this example. If we need to define a function that does not return any output, we will write instead of the return type the keyword void. And this is the void return type. The function can neither take input nor returns output. And this is basically the whole meaning of void. It means nothing. So if you saw the word void anywhere, it means that this place will take nothing or it will return nothing. Now, this is another example. This is a prototype for a function that returns nothing and takes nothing. That's why we have void here and here. The name of this function is print my name. Now, as you can see, this is the implementation of this function, and we use the same prototype, but we add two curly braces instead of the semicolon, and inside it we add the print statement. Now, the last thing is the call, and calling a void function is easy. You just call it by its name without writing anything between the two parentheses because it doesn't take any output, and without receiving a value from this and storing it into a variable. So to call a function that takes void, then write its name and write nothing between the parentheses, just like in this line. And if the function returns void, like in our example, then don't receive its output in a variable, just call it as it is. Now let's do this in a practical manner. Let's draw our own void function, or let's simply write, our own void function. Now let's add the hash include that we are used to. Let's zoom in and add stdio.h. Let's save the file and call it, let's void keyword.c. Now inside here, after using the hash include, we need to call the void main function. Now the main function can be void or can be int. Let's add void. This is the syntax that we usually use. Now let's write the prototype here. Void print name and void. Now the file name, as we mentioned, is void keyword. Now let's copy the prototype, paste it down here, and remove the semicolon, add two curly braces, and add printf. My name is Ash. Now to call, this is the first step, this is the second step. The third step is calling this function inside the main. So simply call it by its name, print name, and add two parentheses without anything inside them, and it won't return anything here. Save. File, open containing folder, cmd. Let's copy the name, gcc, and the name. Let's remove these two. Now a.exe And as you can see, it executed this function. This is a function that takes nothing and returns nothing. We call it a void function. And this is how easy it is to implement it. So now whenever you see the word void, it means nothing. Don't input anything, won't return anything. Thanks for watching this lesson. If you have any questions about the void function, we are here to help. This is Ashraf from Educational Engineering Team.